Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. Today is Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. I am Keith Eyster in for Stevie T at PFL once again today. We have a split slate in MLB. Early games start around noon. We are going to be covering the 5-game main slate starting at 7:10 Eastern time. We will, of course, have content up on the website for that early slate. There's a Grinders Live and a Crunch Time scheduled as well. So make sure you're checking out RotoGrinders for all of your early slate needs. As far as this 5-gamer here, I've got Tim Buell alongside me here to help break it down. Tasteful Tides. Tim, what's going on today?
Yeah, not much, Keith. Tough Tuesday night slate for me. I'm definitely not gonna win anything. Yeah, didn't play Dylan Moore. I faded Seattle, so I mean, it's just kind of a tough slate for me.
Yep, I was under on Seattle as well. A little too much Max Scherzer. Sean Manaea absolutely went bonkers. Did not touch him. You made a good point. We were talking pre-show a little bit. Got the extreme pitcher's ump, one of the best pitcher's umps in baseball, which helps a guy like Manaea, who oftentimes struggles with control. I didn't actually watch that game, so I don't know how good of calls he was getting, but 11 strikeouts I think he ended up with against a tough Minnesota lineup. So good for Sean Manaea. I did not have any of that. Bets weren't great as well. I had Rangers money line last night on the podcast. They're getting beat up a little bit. What else? I did get the Hunter Brown over strikeouts, so that was a nice one. Had some Corbin Burns unders, hoping for some rain there, and that didn't work out. But tough night overall. But we've got 2 slates here on Wednesday to try and get it back. Nice little 5-gamer here that we're working with. This podcast will be much shorter than last night's. If you were here with us last night, Dean and I went a little over an hour and a half, but we had some trade deadline things to talk about. We had a little 1899 baseball stats that Dean was digging into a little bit. It was good times last night. I had by Dean and I, but this should be a nice short one here for us. Small little 5-gamer. Let's go ahead and jump right into it here. First game of the night, we've got the Chicago Cubs at the Cincinnati Reds. Kyle Hendricks going for the Cubs. Nick Lodolo going for the Reds. Reds are minus 154 favorites. 9 is the run total in the game. Hendricks all the way down at 5,700. Tough ballpark for his skill set. Best home run ballpark in baseball here. Any interest in Hendricks at 5,700?
Absolutely not. Very, very easy pitcher to start off with. I think you can hit the exclude button on him and move on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Hendricks has had serious power problems, has absolutely been getting crushed by lefties. Going into this home run park, hasn't kept the ball on the ground as much as he had when he was an above average pitcher. He was good at generating ground balls, not so much in this day and age. The strikeouts are way down. Tough spot for him. Cincinnati's definitely going to be a team we talk about from the bats perspective. What about Nick Lodolo on the other side? 9,200 is the price tag there.
I think given the context of the slate and some of the other options that we have, I think Lodolo can be in your player pool in like a 20 max setting. I think he would just miss like a 3 max pool for me, but it's close. He does have a 24% K rate, only under 7% walk rate. This Cubs lineup does strike out, so I know it's not a good ballpark, but I think Lodolo does have at least a decent chance at a ceiling game here. So I think he can definitely be in a GPP pool, but he would not be like, he's not my top 3, but he's probably my top 5.
Yeah, he's definitely in play for me. This Cubs lineup has been just awful. Cubs were the squad ride. Dean was in charge of that, of the squad ride on Monday night. Cubs did not get it done for us.
Good job, Dean. Good job, Dean.
It's rough out there for this Cubs offense here recently. Paredes, the new addition. They did lose Morel in that trade as well. So very similar players at this stage of their careers. I'm not scared of this Cubs offense. I think Lodolo can rack up strikeouts here as well. The power risk is there. The Cubs do have some power in the lineup as well, but I think it's a good spot for Lodolo overall. Price tag is up there. There's certainly a couple of guys we're going to talk about in this upper range here on this short slate, but Lodolo is in the pool for me, most definitely. How about Cubs bats against him? Any interest there?
I think not. I mean, this ballpark is just so good. So it's tough to just X them out completely. I think Suzuki would be an interesting one-off, maybe like 4,800. I don't really like Isaac Paredes, I guess, at 4,500, but I don't really like the stack in this game. But I like Lodolo more than the Cubs.
I'm with you there. I like Lodolo more than the Cubs, and I will not full stack the Cubs. But I do think home run hunting here, just because of the ballpark, is completely viable. I agree with some of the names you rolled out there. Suzuki, Paredes look really good. If Wisdom happens to crack the lineup, he would be a guy I absolutely love. A little pinch hit risk there probably, but you can assume at least 2 at-bats off of Lodolo. Crushes left-handed pitching in his career. Great ballpark for home runs. I love the way this spot sets up for Wisdom. Swanson has been much better here. Just missed a home run on Monday night. He is still cheap. Tough shortstop position, but short slate, so not as much opportunity cost as there would be on like an 11-game slate like Monday night, where you have Corey Seager and Bobby Witt in fantastic spots. So paying down at shortstop, I think okay in this spot. But just homers. I'm looking for homers from the Cubs. Reds, on the other hand, this is a full stack. Hendricks has been awful. It'd be lefties first for me, but I certainly don't have any qualms with the rest of the lineup. Ellie De La Cruz is probably my favorite play on the entire slate. Jeimer Candelario is excellent. TJ Friedel is very good. Little speed upside there for Friedel as well. If Fraley cracks the lineup, he's fantastic. Will Benson, high risk guy, but all kinds of power. Those lefties set up outstanding here against Hendricks. But it's full stack in Reds here for me. How about you?
Yeah, the Reds are probably my favorite offense on the entire slate. Really tough to get away from them today. Obviously, Ellie De La Cruz, probably the top bat on the slate. He strikes out 32% of the time against righties, but Hendricks only strikes out 14% of lefties. So I'm not too worried about that strikeout. Ellie's got a 261 ISO, unlimited stolen base upside, really, just everything. Don't forget about Will Benson, assuming he cracks the lineup. I love Candelario also. There's just so much to like on this Reds, and they steal bases. So they're really like a dual threat in this matchup. Great ballpark. It's only a 5-game slate. They're going to be popular. The only reason I think to fade them is going to be ownership.
Yeah, we'll see where they come in. You can do some funky things on a 5-game slate that you wouldn't normally do. We just talked about hunting home runs with the Cubs. I think like playing a Cubs power bat against Lodolo in the same lineup is totally fine on this slate. Don't mind it on these smaller slates. All right, I think that covers it. Forgot to say what's up to YouTube at the top of the show. Everybody hanging out in chat. We certainly appreciate you guys joining us live. Got a whole bunch of guys in there, lots of activity. So appreciate you guys joining us here. Happy to have you along. Next game on the slate here is the Pittsburgh Pirates at the Houston Astros. Astros are minus 210 favorites here. 8 is the total in the game. Luis Ortiz, I believe, is who we have scheduled for Pittsburgh. It was going to be Martin Perez, was the scheduled starter, but he got traded to San Diego earlier on Monday. So it will not be Martin Perez. Looks like Luis Ortiz will get the start. Framber Valdez going for the Astros. Any interest here in Ortiz against the Astros?
I think this is a pretty average pitcher going up against an above average team. Really not that interested. There's only one pitcher on the cheaper side that I have interest in today, and he is not the guy. So for me, he's a pass.
Yeah, pass for me too. Houston's just such a tough lineup. They don't strike out. Lots of contact. Ortiz has been okay. Strikeouts haven't been great. They're slightly under 20%. So below average on the strikeouts against a great contact team. Just don't see the upside here for Ortiz. Framber coming off a great start against the Dodgers. Price tag at 8,900. Interest in Framber Valdez here against the Pirates?
Yeah, I think you got to have interest. I know that Hunter Brown kind of failed us on Tuesday night, but I think Framber Valdez is in a really good spot. The K's are still kind of down overall for this season, but I still think he does such an elite job of keeping the ball on the ground, and the Pirates just don't have the weapons to really blow him up. So I think he's a very, very safe option. and in a really, really good run prevention spot.
Yeah, I do think it's more of a run prevention spot than a high strikeout spot. Framber, like you mentioned, like his strikeouts have fallen below league average this season. He's typically been right around it, but he's under 22% on the season. Although it is worth noting he has spiked 10 strikeout games in 2 of his last 3. The highest strikeout team in baseball was in between there. He did rack up 6 in that one, but 10 strikeouts against the Dodgers, 10 strikeouts against the Marlins. So maybe he's kind of figured out a little bit of what's been missing so far this season. It hasn't been the greatest season for Framber, but I do agree. Like Pittsburgh just doesn't have a ton of power to throw at him. He keeps the ball on the ground, so he works himself out of jams that way. And if the strikeouts are starting to come back to where he had been in his career, around roughly 24-25%, then this looks like a pretty good spot for him. So I agree, very much in play here against the weak Pittsburgh lineup. Pittsburgh bats against him. Probably not any full stacks, but are you looking for any one-offs or maybe a mini stack here?
I'm trying to think like who I would even use as a one-off, and I'm really not seeing anybody. Like Brian Hayes is kind of cheap, but I really don't like him that much. I think I don't really like McCutchen as a one-off. I guess really it's basically Brian Reynolds would be it, but that's really it for me.
Yeah, it's tough to play these Pittsburgh guys because Reynolds is priced up. He's their best hitter for sure, especially against lefties. O'Neill Cruz is lefty. He's really struggled in those types of matchups this season. McCutchen a little bit over the hill. It is worth noting they traded for Brian De La Cruz. If he's in the lineup, I think he would be my favorite lineup. Our favorite one-off. I'm not sure if he will be available yet. Obviously, there's physicals and things that need to take place before they join the team, but 3,600 for De La Cruz. I like that a decent amount. Nick Gonzalez, unfortunately, on the IL. He's a guy that I wouldn't mind playing against the lefty here, but it's tough to find anything to like here on Pittsburgh. I will probably just mostly avoid it. Part of the reason why I do like Framber, and Framber's not generally a guy I play in DFS, but Houston on the other side here, assuming that we're just going to assume that it is Luis Ortiz at this point. Any interest in stacking Houston?
Yeah, I think you got to have some interest, definitely. I mean, like Ortiz is like a pretty average pitcher, but like guys like Jordan, I think are spectacular plays. Jose Altuve, I think Yanner Diaz, if he's in the lineup, is a really good catching option. I believe it's John Singleton. I think he'd be an interesting, I don't know, cheapish play at the bottom of the lineup to like make your stack different. So I don't mind him as like a value sneaky option. So yeah, I think Houston has to be considered for stacking.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Jordan is fantastic every day. Absolutely love him. Altuve at a weak second base position. Jake Myers, a cheap guy that I have played quite a bit of this year. Prefer him against lefties, but I don't hate him here in this matchup against Ortiz. I like the Singleton call a lot. Really cheap at 2,900, has a little bit of pop. So I like that one as a cheapie for sure. All right, next game on the slate here, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers at the San Diego Padres. San Diego slight minus 118 favorites here. 7.5 is the run total because we got a good pitchers matchup here. Good pitchers duel on tap, hopefully. Clayton Kershaw going for the Dodgers. Dylan Cease going for the Padres. Kershaw, just one start under his belt this season. Was okay, I would say. What pitch count was 72, I think it was?
72, yeah.
Yep, 72 pitches from Kershaw. So I think we can expect roughly a 15% or 15 pitches bump on that. So probably somewhere in the 85 range for Kershaw here today. Cease, of course, one of the longest leashes in baseball, most expensive pitcher on the slate, also the highest strikeout rate on the slate by a huge margin. So good pitchers duel here. Talk to me about Kershaw. 8,200, I think, is a fair price, even if we don't have a full leash of pitches.
Yeah, I mean, I really think this is an okay spot for Kershaw. His price is still low enough that it kind of like reduces the effects that the Padres have such a low strikeout rate. So he doesn't need an elite strikeout game with that price tag. So despite the fact the Padres are tough, I think Kershaw's a talented enough pitcher that he can easily pay off this price tag. And I think points per dollar wise, he's probably the strongest play on the slate.
Yeah, I like the price point quite a bit. If he was 9,200, I think it would be a little bit different conversation here. But at 8,200, I don't care near as much about the lack of upside in the matchup. San Diego is a very low strikeout team. They make a lot of contact. And Kershaw is not the elite strikeout pitcher that he used to be. At least we don't think he's getting back to that level at this stage of his career. So the upside, I would generally say, is not fantastic in this matchup. But because he's got a mid-tier price tag, I don't really care about that. Like, give me 6 innings and 5 strikeouts, and I'd be more than thrilled with that at 8,200. So I agree. He's very much in play, mainly because of that price. I think there's certainly guys with more upside. The guy on the other side of this game, for one. I think Lodolo probably has a little bit more upside than Kershaw, just because limited pitch count, tough matchup. But the price tag, I think, very much in play. How about Dylan Cease on the other side? Probably the highest upside on the slate.
Yeah, highest upside on the slate, and we've seen this. The back end of this Dodgers lineup has been quite weak, but they've been doing quite well. So, what worries me is that Cease pitched 114 pitches of his last outing, so that does make me a little bit nervous. But he clearly has the highest K rate on the entire slate. He's also quite expensive. So he's 9,700. It's kind of debatable. Like, there's a couple of mid-range guys like Valdez and another pitcher we'll talk about later that I kind of want to pair or with Kershaw too. So, like, I know Cease has the highest K rate in the slate, but I'm just a little bit nervous coming off that no-hitter and that 114 pitch performance.
Yeah, that is a good point. The Padres might possibly pull him back a little bit because they did extend him a little bit to complete that no-hitter. Congrats to Cease. That is definitely an amazing accomplishment. But I do think the watered-down Dodgers lineup is worth talking about. If Freddie Freeman is not back, they rolled out with Gavin Lux hit third for him on Monday night. Hayward was up to 5th. Like, even Kevin Biggio.
Yeah, I know it's ugly. Like, it's ugly. Once you get past Teoscar, it gets really, really ugly. And there's a lot of K's there too. So I completely get it if people want to play Cease. He definitely has the highest ceiling on the slate. It's not even close. I just think there is a little bit of reservation for me.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point that the 114 pitches, you don't see 110 plus pitches very often in today's game. The teams will generally get really nervous once they hit triple digits. So 114 is almost never happens these days. So maybe they put him on a 90 pitch count limit or something like that in this spot. I still think the upside is there. Of course, you've still got guys like Ohtani and Teoscar who are incredible. I don't know. I think if he was 10-5, I would be a little more concerned. Even if he's on if we only get 90 pitches in this spot, I think Cease can pay that off at 9,700. So I like him more than Framber. Sounds like you might have a little more interest in Framber than in Cease. Is that fair to say? Or would you have Cease?
That's a tough call. I'm not quite sure. There is one more pitcher we haven't talked about yet, so might like him more. Yeah,
fair enough. Let's see if we can find him here. Next game, I don't think it's going to be in this game. Not an expensive guy anyway. There are no expensive guys in this next game.
Right.
We've got the Colorado Rockies at the Los Angeles Angels. No total in this game, and I'm not sure why. I think there's 2 confirmed starting pitchers here. Kyle Freeland going for the Rockies, and I'm seeing Davis Daniel for the Angels. If Daniel maybe isn't officially confirmed yet, maybe that's why we don't have a total. But 2 really bad teams here. No total. We'll have to work with that what we can. Kyle Freeland down at 6K. Angels are much better against lefties than they are against righties. Any interest in Kyle Freeland here?
Honestly, I might take a little pinch in like a 20 max, like maybe like 1 or 2, just because I don't have much faith in the Angels, but really not a lot of upside with Freeland. So not really.
Yeah, no interest for me. They, like I said, the Angels have been better against lefties. I still wouldn't call them great by any means. So I could see Freeland putting together 6-7 innings even. He can be efficient at times. So 7 innings and 2 or 3 runs, I think could be useful at 6K. The lack of strikeouts, I just don't like playing Kyle Freeland at all, even when he's away from Coors. For some reason, it seems like he has more success in Coors than he does on the road. I don't have numbers in front of me to back that up, but seems like I played him in that start last time out against San Francisco just because of it. It was such a massive ballpark upgrade, and he gave up 6 runs in San Francisco. I don't know, not a lot of talent here. He's really cheap. The Angels aren't necessarily something to be afraid of, so I don't hate the idea of just like punting the pitcher position basically with him, but I don't love it. Davis Daniel on the other side at 7,700 against a very bad Rockies lineup. What do you got on Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of sample on this guy. I think that he's priced a little bit too high for his skill set. I know the Rockies are horrible, despite the fact they rocked Canning. The Rockies are extremely bad. So I don't mind getting a little bit of him. But again, there are guys that are a little bit more expensive that are so easy to get to that are way better plays than Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, Kershaw 500 more. That
right.
about says what you need to know.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe ownership becomes a concern with Kershaw because it is such a small slate. I think on a bigger slate, we would have no interest in this, but game theory wise, maybe we're just looking for a pivot off of Kershaw. I could see Daniel coming into play there. But like you said, I don't love the upside here. He's not a huge strikeout guy. He did have that great first start against Detroit, struggled in a very good spot the next time out in Oakland, and then got beat up by Texas his last time out. So up and down just to begin the season for Daniel, the major league season anyway. Not huge numbers in the minors either. So middling pitcher, middling price tag. I don't know. It'd be game theory reasons only. I'm not excited about it, but I could see him surviving 5 or 6 innings here against Colorado. Bats in this game. How about Colorado bats against Daniel? Any interest there?
I think Ryan McMahon's too cheap, 4,200. I guess Doyle is hurt, perhaps. I know he's out Tuesday. If he's in, I'd like to play him, 5,100. Toglia, 3,900. I think is interesting. That would really be about it. Just a mini stack of Colorado for me.
Yeah, love the Ryan McMahon call. Love the price tag on Ryan McMahon. Yeah. He even if I don't play Colorado stacks, he'll be a significant part of my lineup build. I love that.
Really good. He's a really good one-off on this.
Yeah,
slate.
There's not a lot of talent in the rest of the lineup. I do like your Toglia call for just another cheap option to throw in there. Chris Bryant just isn't the same guy. Has dealt with way too many injuries. Charlie Blackmon is just up there a little bit too much in age. Doesn't have the same skills that he used to have. So the lineup falls off really quick. But I do like McMahon quite a bit. I don't mind Toglia to save a little bit of money. And then who knows who they're gonna platoon or whatever. Sam Hilliard is a recent pickup. If he's in there, he's 3,200. Like some of these lefties, I wouldn't mind taking some shots on. Whoever the platoon lefties are that end up in there. Jake Cave is okay, I suppose, just because they're so cheap. But I don't think I'd get to a full stack. It would simply be to round out a mini stack with those punt plays at the end there. Angels on the other side. Any interest against Kyle Freeland?
Again, this would be more just like one-off plays. I don't mind Taylor Ward at all. He's pretty cheap. Don't mind Logan O'Hoppe. I think he'll be relatively low owned at 4,100. And that would really be about it for me. That's why I have a little bit of interest in Freeland. Just a little bit.
I have a little more interest in Angels than you do.
Okay.
Neto is another guy I would throw in there that I like. Joe Adell. I know he hits way down at the bottom of the lineup, but I do like the power and speed profile there. Love the O'Hoppe is my favorite play here. He's been just crushing this season, especially against lefties. I don't know that I'm buying Kevin Pillar. He's 4,600. Has cooled off a little bit since his just outrageous start to his Angels career. Rengifo's price is way up there, but he has second base eligibility, and he's been really good against lefties this season. So I can find a way into at least a 3-man stack here. I'm still undecided if I'm full stacking Angels. It's a small slate, and if they're low owned, I don't hate that idea. I don't need near as much upside on a 5-game slate as I do a 10+ game slate. So Angels are in play for me. Next game, final game on the slate here. Oakland Athletics at the San Francisco Giants. Ross Stripling going for the A's. Logan Webb going for the Giants. Webb is a massive -200 favorite. 7.5 is the run total in the game. Stripling at 6,500. Great ballpark to pitch in. Any interest here against the Giants?
I do not have any interest in Stripling at all.
I'm with you. What's the upside? Strikeout rate is not even touching 14%. He does not have a long leash. So great ballpark, great cheap price tag. I just don't think there's any upside here. I would play Kyle Freeland before I played Ross Stripling. And sounds like you're going to like Logan Webb quite a bit here. Obviously, a great park to pitch in. Oakland's been better of late, but they still strike out a ton. He's a massive favorite here. What else you got for me on Logan Webb?
Yeah, so I mean, Logan Webb is such an elite ground ball pitcher. So he's very similar to Valdez and Kershaw. And I think he might be the better of those three options. So Webb is my favorite. Definitely over Valdez. Points per dollar, I like him better than Cease. So it's really like Kershaw and Webb. It's looking like for me on the slate as my two favorite options. If I have the money, I'll certainly consider Cease, but I just like Webb more.
I probably have less interest in Webb than you. It's Cease for me on this slate over Webb. I do like him better than Framber. I agree with you there. Kershaw versus Webb is probably gonna be a final decision type of thing for me. We'll see what the lineups look like and everything like that. They're both really strong plays. I touched on a couple of my favorite points here. The ballpark, high strikeouts from the A's. So Webb is very much in play. And the recent form is not outstanding. He's been giving up a few runs, and his upside comes from pitching deep into games. He generally has one of the longest leashes. He's only gone 89, and then he was up to 99 in Coors and 86 in his last 3, and he's given up at least 4 runs in each of those as well. I think he'll get back on track here, especially back at home, which is the best pitcher's park in baseball. The upside is the length. We need the length back. If he's going to only go 5 innings and give up 3 or 4 runs, it's going to be a problem. We need those 7 innings. Give me 5 or 6 Ks, which I think is very much in his range of outcomes here against a high strikeout Oakland team. That's where we get to that ceiling for Webb. But the question with Kershaw is an interesting one. Ownership will play a factor in that for me as well. But Dylan Cease is ahead of both of them for me on this slate. Bats in this game. Oakland has been red hot, doing it again tonight. What are they up to? Just 2 runs, but putting up runs early again in San Francisco. Any interest here in taking Oakland bats?
Yeah, Butler just keeps hitting home runs. I guess Butler would be okay. Rooker would be a okay play. Bangaliers is always in play. But really, I mean, this team is so boom or bust, and Webb is so elite at keeping the ball on the ground. I think Webb wins this matchup.
Yeah, I favor Webb in the matchup as well. I don't mind an Oakland mini stack. Butler is my favorite play here. I totally agree with that. He's been red hot. As soon as he moved up to the leadoff spot, it's like something clicked. I don't know if they made a change behind the scenes and they knew good things were about to happen for Butler, but it really came together for him in a hurry, and he has not slowed down since. Love the Bangaliers call as well. He's a catcher I always love to play because of his power. The price tag on Rooker is a little bit much for me in this matchup against Webb. That's part of why it's not a full stack for me. I don't mind Blade for a little bit cheaper. Schumann is a guy that you can punt with, shortstop only, but like I mentioned, not as big of an opportunity cost on a smaller slate. So I don't hate that as well. But Oakland, probably more of a mini stack, and I'll have more Logan Webb than I will exposure to Oakland bats. San Francisco on the other side, what are you liking here?
I did not realize how low Ross Stripling's K rate is. I mean, that's like impressively low. Like, how do you?
I think you or I could strike out 14%.
Right? Yeah, that is so low. Yeah. So any of these lefties, I think is great. I think Fitzgerald is fine. Don't mind some Patrick Bailey, assuming he's in the lineup. Lamont Wade, I think, is a great play, despite the pinch hit risk. I think he's a great play. Yaz at 3K, definitely a good value outfielder. So yeah, these Giants are definitely in play.
Yeah, I think they're in play as well. Not a team that I play on a ton of big slates because they do a little pinch hit stuff. Their ballpark is a great pitcher's park. But I do like some pieces here, and I think the full stack is in play because of the smaller slate. Elliot Ramos has been great. He's been better against lefties, but I still don't mind him here against the low strikeouts of Stripling. Matt Chapman, strikeouts are his biggest problem. You throw a pitcher out there against him with a sub 14% strikeout rate. I have some interest in the power there from Chapman. Fitzgerald has just been blazing hot. Seems like he's homering every day, so love that call. Bailey is a guy I really like at catcher too. So San Francisco definitely very much in play. You know that there's going to be contact. Stripling does an okay job of limiting the damage against him, but there's going to be balls in play here. I have a decent amount of interest in San Francisco. All right, that wraps it up. Short 5-gamer there. Like I said, we'd be able to fly through that one pretty quick. Let's go ahead and jump into the morning grind game. This is going to be a little tough today because of such a short slate. Not a ton of options for us to choose from here today. First question for you here is, give me a pitcher under 8,000 in salary to go for 6 strikeouts.
Oh, that's impossible.
Yeah, might not be on today.
I still think the best chance that you have to get that is Freeland, even though it's bad. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that Freeland.
I don't hate that call. I will go. Yeah, these are not great options today, man. I guess I'll go Davis Daniel just by default because I don't think Stripling's doing it. I don't think
Stripling's not doing it.
Like Hendricks pulls these games out of his hat every once in a while, but this is just too tough of a spot for him in that park in Cincinnati. So I don't think he gets there. Luis Ortiz has a very tough matchup for strikeouts. So it's going to be Davis Daniel by default for me with you taking Freeland off the board. Next question here. Give me somebody over 8,000 in salary who scores less than 15 DK points.
This is also very tough. I think it has to be, man. I guess just because of the ballpark, I'll go Lodolo.
Don't hate that. I might have to go against your boy Webb here, just because I think Framber's matchup is easier. Better ballpark for Webb. I'm torn between those two. I like Webb. Don't get me wrong. I'm only picking somebody because it's part of the game. I will have exposure to both Framber and Webb, but I think those are the two options I'm deciding between.
I heard Dean boycotted the game.
It's one question in the game. He believes that the question about the under 4K hitter for 2 hits is completely worthless and should be thrown out. So apparently Dean does not like base hits.
Right.
We're just trying to tell you who the good salary savers are.
Right.
My official answer there is going to be Logan Webb. Sorry, man.
That's all right.
I'll have plenty of Logan Webb. It's not that I dislike Webb. I just like the matchup for Framber slightly better. Give me a hitter over 4,000 to hit a home run.
I'll just go with Ellie because he's the obvious choice.
Yep, that was my guy.
Also love Jordan.
Love that call as well. Let me pull up my player pool here real quick because I need a new answer. Should have known that you were going with Ellie. It's just the spots don't get any better for Ellie De La Cruz. Let's just put it that way.
I'm the guest, so I get to do that.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I've changed roles. I'm in Stevie's seat, so you get the premium choices. Just the spot could not get any better. Not only the home run upside, but the stolen base upside. Like if he doesn't hit a home run here, he probably steals 2 bases if he can get on. Hendricks is very vulnerable to the stolen base. The Cubs catchers can't throw anybody out. And De La Cruz leads the world, or not the world, but Major League Baseball for sure by a mile in stolen bases. There might be somebody in Japan or something who has 60, but Ellie is fast approaching that number. I still need a home run here. Give me Seiya Suzuki against Lodolo.
That's good.
How about a hitter under 4K to go for 2 hits? Dean's boycott question.
Gotta find a. Oh, I'll go Yastrzemski.
Like that one. Give me Benson's under 3K still, right? Yes, I will go Will Benson against Kyle Hendricks. Like under 4K, I think I said 3K. But yeah, I love playing Benson in low strikeout matchups because the tools are there. He strikes out too much. But great spot for him. Give me a stack to score 6 or more runs.
I will go with the Reds.
Love that call. I think they are the obvious answer on this slate. I will go. Give me Houston against Ortiz here. Like them a decent amount. There were not any props. I did not have a chance to check pick'em sites. Were there any props or pick'em plays that you were able to find pre-show? I'm doing a quick refresh here to see if anything's popped up since we started recording.
I just did a refresh also. The sportsbook, DK Sportsbook has they got the Reds minus 148, which I like quite a bit, just as a bet. Not seeing many props though.
Yeah, I don't see any props up yet. Which is even for the early games, I don't see props, which is very surprising. I figured there'd at least be something from the early games that we could pluck out by now. But yeah, you'll have to check out Scores and Odds, I guess, for any prop bets. Doesn't look like we have any options out there. Sorry, who was your money line play again?
Reds minus 148. I just bet.
Yeah, I like that call. Yeah, that sounds good. Seems like too short of a number for that pitching matchup. Nothing really standing out to me. I think totals all look pretty good. I don't have a strong lean on Dodgers Padres, which is the closest line here. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like I have any money line or total bets that are standing out. Yeah, short slate, not a lot of options. Let me see if I can find a money line on, actually, now that I think about it, on one of those early games here, just to give something out for the people here. Yeah, give me the Braves minus 125. Chris Sale against Freddie Peralta. Peralta has had his struggles here recently. I know the Braves offense is a little bit watered down, but I'll back Chris Sale in that spot.
I like that pick. Yeah.
All right. I think that about covers it. You got anything else before we go ahead and get on out of here?
No, thanks, Keith. Always fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. Stevie will be back later. I think it's later this week. It might be next week. But I will be back tomorrow. I think it's TJ. Don't quote me on that. But I will be here with you all again. Thanks again to the YouTube chat for joining us live. Always fun having you guys along. And good luck to everyone on Tuesday.